Hello everyone, my name is Jair Gordon, and welcome to my project update video for my video game Caved In. Caved In is a 2D platformer game that's going to be created using Unity, and it's set in a mysterious cave where the player will wake up and realize that their family has been taken and that they must travel through the cave to collect coins, dodge enemies, and make it to the end of the game in order to find their family. And there's going to be power-ups and things along the way to help them as well. And now what inspired me for this game was one of my favorite classic games, Icy Tower. And the objective of this game is to basically get to the highest level possible to escape the tower, and the idea of escaping a dark tower is kind of what inspired the setting for Caved In. And now the gameplay is pretty simple, which kind of drew me to it, but it also bored me after a while. And this is why this game is also inspired by Celeste. And Celeste has a lot more dynamic gameplay to it, and I also wanted to bring that to Caved In. And as far as the assets for the game, for the environment, I will be using tile maps that give a rather dark and mysterious setting for the game, and I'll be using these from the open source outlet itch.io from the user SalkGP. For my main character, I'll be using this sprite image, which comes from the YouTuber InScope Media, who also has an itch.io account. For the main timeline of events, the first task is to find all the main assets for the game and have the basic movement of the character, which I've been able to do. The player is able to go left or right and jump using the spacebar, and I've also been working on various animations for the character, as well as through the use of vectors and bones using Unity's sprite skin component and their animator, along with tons of Unity tutorials. And as far as October 18th, I will have added the current setting to create checkpoints where the player will come in contact with a particular asset, and that's going to trigger the storyline to continue. And from that point, I will add enemies, coins, and power-ups like speed and invincibility into the gameplay. And I'll also be adding UI elements to represent the number of lives that a player has left and which power-up that they currently have. And some of the last things I'll be adding will be implementing the cave lighting into the UI, and this is where the light will be focusing on the character and kind of making it look more so like an actual cave. And lastly, I'll be adding background noises and sound effects, as well as doing any necessary bug fixes that needs to be done. As far as the similarity that this game has, the basic game mechanics are very similar to any classic platformer game where you can run and jump. Caved In will differ from a lot of those games though by having a storyline, and this is something that the game Celeste incorporates well, and this is kind of where I took some of my inspiration from. This is the basic layout I plan on having for my script, and it will start off with an opening dialogue when the user first starts playing the game, and each time they came in contact with a particular asset or an object from the player's lost family, then the storyline will continue. Here are the milestones that I've laid out for my project. My first milestone is to properly animate the character, which I've done for the most part by completing the main animations for while the character is either idle, walking, or jumping. And in the future I plan on adding more character animations like when the character dies. And I was able to link the animations through a move function that would check whether or not the player is on the ground and then check their speed as well and play a specific animation based off of that. And the second milestone will be to actually implement the storyline into the gameplay. And from there, I will be working on the logic for attacks, scoring, and the health of a player, which ties into the fourth milestone where I will be adding the UI for the main component of the game, like the starting page, pause screen, scoring, and game over page. And for the fifth milestone, this is where I'll be adjusting the lighting of the environment and the setting to have a sort of cave lighting for the character. And this is where I'll definitely be getting a lot of use out of the Mastering Unity Shades and Effects book by Jamie Dean. Lastly, I will be primarily working on the final touches of the game and adding sound effects to the things like when a player jumps, whenever they're attacked, or the game is completed, as well as doing any needed debugging of the code. And I hope that this, in conjunction with the animations and the lighting through Unity shaders, I hope that this will add more to the gameplay experience. But apart from that, that's my game Caved In, and I really appreciate you all for watching. Thank you.